want to kick us off?
Oh, you got nothing?
I got lots, but you can
Well,
go
then go
first.
ahead. Why don't you just spill the beans?
About which particular being would you like me to discuss
Well,
today?
let's start with, where do we start? Crane or, let's start with, what's the latest with the discussions over Lebanon?
So you might have seen that the President's Special Envoy Amos Hochstein was in Beirut today, meeting with the Speaker of the Lebanese Parliament. He gave a press statement after that where he made clear that we have made significant progress and that an agreement is within reach, but it's going to take decisions by both parties, by both Israel and Lebanon, to actually get an agreement, and that's what we're going to continue to push for.
Okay, well, so, I mean, where does this leave us right now?
It leaves us that we're going to continue to talk to the parties to try to get an agreement. There are a number of issues. The United States, yeah, almost the special envoy is the lead negotiator, but then you know the president has been involved at various times, the secretary has been involved at various times, and there'll continue to be an across the government focus to try and reach a diplomatic resolution because it's critical to getting people back to their homes on both sides of the blue line.
Okay, and the main goal of this proposal is essentially the basic framework of what you guys in the French had laid out at the end of September, which is obviously the ceasefire, but also the full implementation of 1701.
It is the full, without getting into the underlying details, which I know you'll understand, given that we're still negotiating this potential resolution. We want to see the full implementation of UN Security Council Resolution 1701, so both Israelis and Lebanese civilians can return to their
Well,
homes.
what I'm getting at is that this proposal and what was over there discussing the Lebanese and was apparently going to Israel to discuss with the Israelis is essentially the same as what you had on the table. Is that correct?
So I'm going to answer that by saying, obviously, in the course of negotiations, proposals always evolve because it's a conversation that happens between the relevant parties and us as the mediator. So the proposal that is on the table right now is not identical to the proposal that was on the table 2 weeks ago or 2 months ago. But the overall framework that we're trying to reach is, yes, full implementation of UN Security Council Resolution 1701. Okay. Mary.
Matt, this might be a bizarre question, but do you know why he's...
I'd be surprised. I'd be surprised by that.
Do you know why he's more optimistic than before? The reason I ask this is that we've been here many times with Gaza ceasefire. What is the concrete progress that you guys have made that you think you're on the cusp of it this time?
So I'm not going to speak to the underlying details, which I'd have to tell you where the assessment comes from. But obviously, when we come out and give you an assessment about where negotiations stand, it's based on our conversations with the parties. And so he can make the kind of statement he made, I can make the kind of statement I made yesterday when I noted that we had made progress because we are in conversations with the parties and we can see that we have overcome some of the obstacles to getting a resolution, but there's more to be done and we need an agreement from the parties, but we are working to accomplish that. We want to get one done as soon as possible.
Can you put a timeline at all?
No, I can't do that.
It is our understanding that the United States has agreed to the Israeli condition that when it's struck by Hezbollah from across the border in Lebanon, that it reserves the right to go in and attack those targets. Is that correct?
I'm not going to speak to any underlying details of the agreement, which is not to either confirm or not confirm, just to say when it comes to any underlying details of this resolution that we are trying to reach, while we are still in the negotiating stages, I don't think it would be helpful for me to be talking about what the details are publicly.
Right. On the civilian harm channels that you guys were discussing and you mentioned in the letter, do you have any updates for us?
We have scheduled a meeting between senior officials here at the department and senior officials in the Israeli government in early December. It will be the first meeting of that new channel.
And that would take place here or virtually?
I'm not going to get into the details of that meeting, but it'll happen in early December.
Can you say how senior those Israeli officials and State Department?
Senior, as we get closer to the date and certainly on the date and after, we'll have a more specific readout of the people that were involved. But at this point, no.
Right. A couple of final things. So so we can assume that the channel is set up now, and it's going to, and this is gonna be
Correct.
its first meeting. And, like, what is your plan about this channel, given that you're saying this meeting is gonna happen in December? I suspect then you're gonna have maybe a month or so, or like 40 days to, talk to the Israelis about this. What do you intend to achieve during that very limited time?
So the purpose of this channel is to inform the ongoing work that the State Department has to do to make assessments about the use of U.S. provided weapons. That's what we want to do, as well as to gather our own information about what Israel is doing. We get questions from you about specific strikes, and we want to know the answers, both to be responsive to the media and for our own purposes. So it's to gather information about incidents that have been raised that are cause of concern or a cause of question. Now, we take all the information we gather, whether it be from public reporting by the media, whether it be from NGOs, whether it be from the government of Israel or other governments, and feed it into our processes, both our policy-making processes and the judgments that we have to make about potential violations of international humanitarian law. And we will continue to do that.
Right. So given that this channel is now set up and you will have a meeting and you intend to use the time to further your ongoing assessments, which have been ongoing for more than a year, can you commit that one of those many assessments will conclude in the end?
What do you mean that they'll conclude? Do you mean
That
by January
you know-
20th?
Yes.
So let me just step back and say that the assessments that the State Department is required to make are legal requirements, and they're not legal requirements that are attached to any one administration. That burden for the State Department continues through the end of this administration and into the following administration. So we want to get that work done as quickly as possible. But this is not a partisan exercise, it's not a political exercise by this administration. This is the serious work of government that is supposed to go on regardless of who the president is.
Final thing, sure, I understand that, but at the moment, you guys are still in charge, and I'm asking this administration, because I've asked this question many, many times. It's been over a year. You have said to us these assessments about Israel's potential IHL violations has been going on. The fact that you have this channel, does that mean your work on that front is going to speed up or not?
So our work is already moving as quickly as we can possibly make it move, but they are difficult assessments that we have to make that require both gathering facts and making, in some cases, complicated judgments. And so I have never been able to put a timetable on that work because we have a number of different incidents that we are looking at. But we are committed to working through that process and having an answer as quickly as possible.